And yes, welcome back. This is the Generation Report that starts from 7 p.m. up to 10 p.m. And like I had just introduced before Joachim just stepped in, tonight we shall be having Joachim Simiyu. Yes, he shall be introducing himself, and he will also tell us what he has been up to this week, because I know it has been quite a very busy week, starting from the issue of by-elections, like I had said, starting also from the issue of developments the president is doing. I know Simiyu has something to say about such kind of developments. So, welcome, Simiyu. Karibu sana.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Nafurahia kufika hapa. And see what happens. Yes,
what usually happens on the Generation Report is a roundup of the big stories that happened in the course of the week.
All right.
Yes, we might be talking about politics, governance, and every other thing, big stories that happened in the course of the week. Yes, yeah. So we sit here, we review, we look at them, we break them down, the stories, we give them different opinions, different perspectives, so that now we can also changia in decision making in our country, and also
very important.
Yes.
Very important.
Yeah, so thank you for coming.
Yes.
Tonight you shall be sitting with someone, Joshua Nyamori. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, so that now you can help us look at the big stories that happened in the course of this week. And as I started by asking, how was your week?
My week has been up and down. We've had the by-elections coming up. We were participating in the by-election. And so it was about preparations and campaigns here and there. But they are now behind us. What we take from there is valuable lessons that it's a must for us to carry to the next general election.
Actually, speaking of valuable lessons, I know we've learned a lot. For this by-election. Actually, even before it happened, we were saying that we know this will be like a litmus paper. I mean, a litmus test, yes, to the Kenyan political scene. Yes, not only on the IEBC, but also even to us voters, and even the political parties. Yes, it was quite a very big test. So maybe to ask, did your party did they participate, and maybe what are some of the seats they were able to capture?
We had participation in 3 by-elections, and we did not capture any. But I think what we got was commensurate with the efforts that we put in. This by-election was a unique one, and we had 2 players in it. For us, we were there as a dry run to see what happens. The 2 main players in this by-election was 1-term versus 2-term. For us who still figuring out, we are thinking about what is the need for the people as we engage in this whole political discourse. What are we aiming to solve? What are the problems that we have identified that are bedeviling our country? And as we campaign, how do we intend to solve them? So our participation in the last by-elections, to us, we got what we wanted.
Okay, is it for you as a party or for you as a united opposition?
We were in this by-election as a party.
Okay.
Individually as a party, just as Safina. And what we wanted from the by-elections, we got it. Yes.
Well, when you talk of, as a party, I know Safina is also part of the, I don't know whether you are part of the broader united opposition.
No, we are not.
Oh, you are not. You are standing by yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I also tend to feel like it was the same perspective that the united opposition also had in their minds. Like we are getting there to see what we can be able to do.
When you look at our approach to all these things, you realize that Safina Party has a very different approach. You've not seen us out there being confrontational with other people. We are just talking about what is our problem? How can we solve it? We are interrogating both sides. The opposition where we are, not the united opposition, but by the mere fact that we are putting the government in check, That makes us opposition. But the questions we ask is that what will happen after the voting day with whatever outcome that will come out of the ballot? Mm-hmm. If it happens that two-term has become a reality after the election day, then what next? How do the people of Kenya live through the two-term? If it happens that one term becomes a reality, mm-hmm. then what next? How do we now live with the issue of in the government that will come next time? What are we, as the people who are yearning to come into leadership of the country, what are we offering? Mm-hmm. It cannot be, when you see, the one similar thing between one term and two term is that we are not coming out clearly to say, to make it about the people. When we talk about one term, you see people are saying that we are discussing among ourselves, who takes what, who takes which position. But that should not be the focus. Before we even start discussing on who takes what, it should be then after what you take, what are you going to do about it? What are the problems that the Kenyan people are raising? Mm-hmm. And what's your formula to solve those problems? That's the biggest question. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I had a recording here about the president. I don't know he meant wapi about the president calling out on the united opposition.
Yes.
On the issue of it's not even only that clip. He has been telling them that they are agendaless. They don't know what they really want. And I had that clip was talking about when the president was saying that the opposition, they are discussing leaders, while they are thinking about the people.
First of all, the president must stop thinking that he's the prefect for the opposition. He's not our prefect. He cannot come and prefect what our agenda should be. And he cannot even tell us what should be the agenda, because the person with the mandate given to him by the people to state what the agenda is and actually actualize that agenda is him in the office. He should stop being preoccupied by thinking about what is the agenda for the opposition. That is our bitter pill to swallow, not his. His biggest job is to implement what he told the people that he's coming to do, not to stand on top of his SUV and talk about how the opposition is agendaless. Mm-hmm. What is his agenda? Because if at all there is anyone who has taken the trophy for proving that he's agendaless, it's the president.
Why? And I'm seeing the president all over, and him launching a lot of projects. Like right now, as we are speaking right now, he has pledged major investments to unlock the northern Kenya's potential. As we speak right now.
He has been launching projects ever since he came into power. He has not commissioned. We have not seen anything that started from the scratch to completion. All he has been doing is launching. And yesterday he was in Kiambu to talk about purpose to launch a road. Is it Maori Roni? Then the question should be, do we have a budget for it? Who is going to finance it? What are the contract signings? Who is the contractor? Is it really going to happen? Where are we going to raise the money to build that road? Those are the questions people should be asking. Once we know how are we going to finance that project, then we can be sure it is going to happen. You see, when you look at that whole exercise with a political eye, you realize that it was a well-planned event. The day after the by-elections. And when you look at the majority of the speeches in that event, it was to hurl insults at the opposition. It was not really an event to launch a project. I am sure if the outcome of the Mbeere by-election was different from what happened, I doubt if he would be in Kiambu trying to to say that he's launching a road. It is to take political credit that you see, even as they make noise, I have still defeated them. You see, when we talk about government projects, and you see what happened is that immediately he launched that road, there is a petition in court. Do you want to tell me that the petition in court waited for the by-election? It waited for the launching. Then it happened after the president had launched. In my own thinking, it's all the same people doing it to stall that thing because there is no finances for it. And you can't tell people that there is no money for it because you already told them that there is a way we are going to finance it. But how do you make sure that it stalls? You send someone to court to petition. And so through the court process, it takes time and we are nearing the election. Then come during the election and say, I had the intention of building this road. But these people ran to court. Now they have costed you a road.
Wait a minute. So every other person who is going to court, when the president starts doing something, starts to, maybe he has a project that he's pushing. So we have seen people going to court. Yeah. So do you mean that some of these people are it's just a project by the same government?
Yes. Some of these people are just being sent by the same government. You use one hand to support the project, then you use the other one to stall it. Because as we speak, the issue of resources to fund these projects is a nightmare.
I have seen, there's also another clip the president was saying where this 5 trillion that he talked about, because a majority of these projects that he's launching, he said that it will cost around Kenyans around 5 trillion, right?
Yes.
Yes, and there was something that he was saying today that he knows very well that we are able, the country is capable of raising that amount that will be able to ensure that those projects have been done.
So, according to the president, how are we going to raise the 5 trillion? Is it by introduction of another levy or tax?
Actually, that is what I don't know what is happening to my phone, because I heard that story about him, what he had indicated. But all in all, him saying that we are able as a country to raise that amount, whether through taxes, whether through loans, because I know, of course, if the taxes fail, the loans now come in.
If all those things cannot work, if we talk about tax, another tax, it will be taxed on what? Your income. What does the law say about taxing people on their income? We already having housing levy, which came to the income of the people. So you cannot come up with another levy or tax, then raiding the same pay slip that you are raiding. That amounts to a double taxation. So we cannot finance those projects by taxation. When we talk about loans, how much do we owe right now? And how much of our tax revenue is actually going to debts, to servicing these loans? We have already surpassed the ceiling of how much of our GDP is going to debt. It's 68%.
Around 68 point something percent.
Yes, in a third world country like ours, you should not exceed 55%. So if we are already, if we are already playing in the field that is way beyond our ability, then how do you come to us and tell us that we can stretch it further? Why the ambition of sounding so sophisticated and development oriented when the basics have become a problem to you? Have we made it possible that every child born in this country accesses education? Have we made it possible that medical health care health services are available to us. Those are the very small things that we should have solved before even start thinking of how we can become a Singapore or Malaysia. You see, we need to, if we want to become Singapore, then we need to take steps taken by Singapore. How did they get there? Did they get there by doing projects that they cannot finance? Did they get there by overlooking the basics of their people? Did they develop their people by finishing their industries and making manufacturing expensive? No. So if we are taking a formula that has never worked anywhere in the world, or wherever it was used, it failed, then what makes it possible that we are thinking that we can be the only ones who can make it work? You see, all these projects are good. And as a Kenyan, I would like to have them. But I would like to be practical in reality. How do we finance them? Because nikikuja hapa, in your home, if your partner tells you that we are going to now have a bigger house, we are going to buy expensive furniture because we need to live a dignified life, we are going to buy a bigger TV, and we are going to live in a leafy estate. It's a good ambition. And everyone in that family would like to have such kind of life. But the question is, how do you get there? How much are you earning? Will that be enough to finance that kind of lifestyle? No. And that, what does that mean? That dream remains a dream. You know, if we are in a country where the Auditor General comes and tells you 300 billion from the government bonds is unreachable, we don't know where it is. And then even Parliament is very quiet about it. The Auditor General comes again and tells you, you see, for the past 7 months, we have had a manual withdrawal of 1.3 trillion from the Treasury. And for the purpose as to which this money has been withdrawn is not clear. Then members of Parliament called the Auditor General a corrupt woman. And some suggest that we actually do not need the office of the Auditor General. And that same country, those same leaders that are telling you that we should scrap the office of the Auditor General are telling you that we will be Singapore tomorrow. You know, some things, sometimes I listen to speeches made by these leaders and I laugh. And I feel sorry for people who believe them. It's actually...
So according to the dream by the president about Kenya becoming like a Malaysia, Singapore, is a dream that cannot be realized?
It's a daydream. It can only be realized through practical means.
Isn't the president doing enough, like in terms of, because for us to get there, first of all, of course, we need to think of industrialization.
How are we
as a country? And I've seen the president moving around and really working on issues to do with industrialization in the country.
Like what?
Launching projects that, of course, support industrialization, like constructing roads.
Constructing roads. Which road? Maurirone Road. It still goes to... You see, the issue of industrialization, you have to be very practical. What do you aim to produce? What do you want? Which sector do you want to industrialize? Which ones are already in existence that we can just boost them? In terms of industrialization, we already have sectors that are struggling. All we could have done is to boost them and give them a lifeline. We have not. Sugar sector in Western Kenya is on its deathbed. We cannot talk about industrialization when existing ones have not been put in spaces where they can perform. When I was growing up, you couldn't wait for a report from the cabinet to know that the economy is working. Mm-hmm. You see, even the marketplaces where I was growing up, these marketplaces used to boom. We had Bukembe Market, Kitale Market. You see, the even cane cutters, they used to be paid after every 2 weeks. And they could be paid in those marketplaces. The company officers come with the money. They put up a site in the marketplace. They pay the cane cutters from there. On that market day, there is a lot of money exchanging hands. Mm-hmm. And you could even look for meat. Umeenda kununua nyama haupati by saa 10 because everyone is buying meat. People who used to sell clothes, they used to make money because people could make money.
Yes.
That's not the case today. So how do you say you are keen on industrialization? What is the key driver of industrialization? Before we even think of roads, mm-hmm. in industrialization we have to think about energy, fuel, electricity. How costly is it? You see? Mm-hmm. We are anticipating the rise in the cost of fuel. And since 2022 up to now, there has been a rise in the cost of electricity. Any manufacturing plant or industry depends on these two things. When we make them expensive, automatically everything becomes expensive. Mm-hmm. You see? Mm-hmm. So you cannot come and talk about industrialization when energy is an expensive commodity to buy. Mm-hmm. Manufacturing needs energy, transportation needs it, packaging needs it, storage. So if we were very genuine with the issue of industrialization, then the first area to pay attention is how affordable is energy to the people. Mm-hmm. And do we have enough of it? You cannot industrialize the country by moving around the country on top of an SUV talking about how Kenya can be Singapore. That has been our problem. Mm. Yes.
Okay, I think we will continue with the conversation because we've also been joined by the other guest that we've been waiting for.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana. We've been waiting for you to continue with this conversation. Maybe you found us talking about the issue of Kenya becoming Malaysia. We are talking about the projects that the president has been launching. Like right now, we are talking about him being in Garissa or those areas, and he's pledged to make sure that that place is really developed. Yeah, it has been an area that has been, I would say, like a minority. Yes, but he has promised to bring change in that area. And of course, we have seen him moving across the country, not only in the northern part of Kenya. We also saw him in Ukambani, the Ukambani region. We have seen him in western region. We've seen him in so many other places and giving promises. And what Simiyu is saying is that those projects are ni projects ambazo ni hewa tu, they are going nowhere. So maybe you would want to hear your opinion about the same.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, one, I apologize for being late.
It's okay.
It was inevitable. And then thank you for the opportunity to join you, and also to meet my brother Simiyu. I follow you on social media.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
Yes.
Yeah. So you say Simiyu is saying that the projects are not feasible?
Yeah, basically that.
Okay. Yeah, you know, it is important that when you're speaking to a national forum like this, you are able to critically analyze why you're saying it's not feasible. Okay. President William Ruto, when he came to power, said he was going to initiate affordable housing projects. And then some people declared it as impossible. Now we have the projects going on all over the country, providing jobs for hundreds and thousands of young people. It is undeniable. Even if my brother Simiyu denies it here, there are young people working on those sites. There are young people working in the quarries. There are young people working in the factories that are producing the products that are used in those projects. The money that they earn are used to buy in butcheries, in hotels, in markets, and then that money, it goes into matatu, into boda boda, to mama mboga. So that money is circulating. That is how an economy is that has slowed down is triggered to grow once again. Now, the president, in his State of the Nation address, was very clear that he was not going to talk about promises, but he was going to talk about the Kenyan story. And he gave a beautiful story, where we came from, the challenges we had in the agricultural sector, the prices of food, the oil challenges, the shilling that was on, a free flow, and mention how the fertilizer prices had come down, how we were no longer importing, maize, and the prices of maize had gone down, how, the shilling had been stabilized at 129 shillings for a long time now, almost 2.5 years. So what the president promises, over time he's been able to deliver those promises. So one, I have no reason to doubt his commitment to moving Kenya to a first world country, especially following the lessons of countries like Singapore. In any case, Singapore was once at the level where Kenya was at independence. And it took work, it took vision, it took commitment, it took mobilization of the country. The president, as a person, has a role of mobilizing us towards certain objectives. And those objectives are the issues that he mentioned. When I walked in, my brother Simiyu was speaking about the issue of energy and saying that we cannot talk about industrialization when we don't have energy.
Power. Yes.
But I would want to invite my brother to go and watch the president's speech again. One of the critical issues that the president spoke about was the issue of energy, and said that as a country, we are going to invest in production of energy. And he talked about dams. Part of what the dams will help us with, apart from stabilizing our agriculture, so that we do not depend on rain-fed agriculture, is is production of electricity. And so the president actually mentioned that we need to move, I think, 5 times higher from our current production. Yeah. So the president has given us a vision. My view is that as a country, we need to work towards that vision. And we have a leader who is willing to take the risks, willing to mobilize the country, and has a very clear roadmap that we should follow. The other issue he talked about was the issue of logistics and transport system. And I mean, he started it yesterday by launching the Rironi-Mau Summit Road. He's talked about the issue of the railway. These are things that are happening. The issue of our ports. Then he's talked about the issue of improving our healthcare, even further, the issue of improving our education system, even further, reinforcing them. So Kenya is a work in progress. And I want to invite people to be positivists. I'm a positivist, and I believe that if we work in a concerted manner, we will be able to change this country. And that's I believe that Simiyu is an important leader. He's occupying an important space. I would want to invite him not to depress the ambition of Kenyans to get to the first world. We are going there.
You see, nobody hates the idea of going to the first world. Everyone wants it. And the example I gave you before Joshua came in is that even in our homes, we have ambitions of bettering our lives and one day taking our children to better schools, living in better neighborhoods, and having better furniture in our houses. Those are all very valid ambitions. But the problem comes in where, how do you now actualize those ambitions? How do you now move from that place you're staying to a better neighborhood? It requires resources. And you look at where you are at that time. Are you able to migrate from where you are to a better place? You will need to check where you put your priorities in terms of spending. You will need to look at your sources of income. What are your portfolios? Once you establish that, you know the next step to make. And all the projects that my friend has mentioned are all very good projects. I have a problem in how they are being undertaken. Let me start from what he mentioned first, the affordable housing project. And I want to remember what President Ruto used to say about housing before they were put up. The initial promise was that the people who are doing slightly well in their life are putting together something so that houses can be built for people with living in shanties, that we are being a country that cares about every other person. And I remember one of his speeches, I don't know whether it was in Homa Bay or where he said that the people who are opposing that program are the people with the pay slips who do not want people, Mama Mboga and Boda Boda, not to own houses. And later on, it turns out that the person paying is the one who will get a house. So the question comes in, what happens to the person who you said we are building a house for? And again, how are we undertaking this program? Where are we building it? Using whose money? And the initial promise was this, is that their affordable housing is going to provide even an opportunity for young people to engage in business, where you create a group, you are given a tender to supply bricks, let's say. Some are given a tender to supply window panes. And according to that promise, the project was poised to create
employment
yes, to the people. I still struggle to find any group of young people that has been given such a program of providing any building material to any affordable housing. And again, the issue of affordable housing, where are we building it? The government is building these houses on public land. By use of whose money? By the money contributed by the Kenyan people, meaning this money is being given by the taxpayer. So he's using public money to build houses on public land. And let us look at the rates at which these houses are being given out. They are not so different from the existing market rates. So how is this even affordable? And how do we define affordability? Because when we talk about reducing the price of this bottle of water, it could be costing 100. Then we see 100 is too much. Let's make it 50. I think instead of looking at ways of reducing the price for this water, why don't we empower people to be able to even afford it at 100? The biggest issue about the people, as we think about dignifying their lives, making them not live in shanties and have better houses, the first question you ask yourself is, why is this person living in a shanty? It cannot be that there is a shortage of houses out there. There are. But why is this person living in Mukurukwanjenga in a house that has sewage in front of it? It's because of his source of income. He is forced to live in that undignified place. The first step you should make is to look at how do we make this person's income become better, and look at the areas that are acting as constraints to the income of this particular person. A person who is used to, who earns the amount of money that is not even enough for him in that shanty. You want to give him a house on 9th floor. It has utility charges. You see?
Are you allowed to interject?
You want to give him a house on 9th floor. Let's say it's now meant for the people who are not doing so well in life.
Yes.
On a 9th floor. This person will need to pay for electricity charges. This person will need to even pay for garbage people to come and collect. It's a lifestyle that he's not used to. And I'm not saying that they will not get used to it. But the only thing that can make them comfortable in that kind of environment is to make sure that there are sources of income.
To empower them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let me just ask Joshua to let us know, because I know maybe he knows maybe the story, the history of the journey of Kenyans' employment, the employment sector. Do you think this country, the administration can be able to create employment in this country? Because where we are right now as we speak, we are talking of exporting human labor. We are exporting our young people, taking them to Qatar, taking them to those other countries. And again, people come out and say that, of course, the government cannot employ everyone. That one is true. They can't employ everyone. But then now making the environment, making the business environment at least feasible, such that people can invest in businesses, people can invest in the country to create that employment. Where do you think we are heading there?
Now, Patricia, I have listened to your question, but I've also listened to submissions by my brother Simiyu.
Yes.
And my view is that before I respond to your question, allow me to respond to...
Allowed.
Yeah. Bwana Simiyu's views, because it is important that we correct certain misleading information that is given. And I would want to let Bwana Simiyu know that Mao Zedong once said, no research, no right to speak. And so Bwana Simiyu has opportunity to use the internet to get the right information, or knock the officers. Is a leader who has created his niche. And so it only takes him to walk into the Affordable Housing Board's offices to understand, to talk to the CEO or anybody, or ministry, talk to the PS or the CS. I am sure they'll give him information. He's spoken about the concept of affordable housing, probably to bring to his attention that I sit in the board of the National Housing Corporation Board. So I understand the concept, and that this concept is coded in an act of parliament, the Affordable Housing Act. And the idea is that the money being collected every week is building a fund, which is called the Affordable Housing Fund. And this fund is used to pay the private sector that is involved in terms of developers and contractors that are involved in development of the houses. So in terms of job creation, these jobs are created by the private sector, majorly that are involved. And I've talked about how the jobs are created. The jobs are created through the young people, both the unskilled and skilled manpower that is working on the sites, the ones that are working in the quarries, the ones that are working in the factories, lawyers that are doing conveyancing, engineers and architects, and so on and so forth, that are supporting the designing and supervising the projects. And then beyond that, the supply of the money that then is used in the economy then creates further jobs in the informal sector. The informal sector has an important role, so that items like windows, doors, and other fittings and fixtures are done by the informal sector associations through an agreement with the developers, and that is a component of the project delivery that is ring-fenced for them. And billions of shillings now move to the informal sector to do those components of the project. Mm-hmm. It is by involving them in those processes that then we build their capacity through supervision, so that they can then be able to undertake bigger and bigger projects. And by bringing them together into associations, then that they are able to consolidate themselves and move from small and micro level to one day become developers themselves. Mm-hmm. So that concept has a way of developing the entire economy. But then on the issue of pricing, again, I want to invite in that the pricing is reasonable pricing, much cheaper than what the market is able to provide for similar houses, fractions of what the market is able to provide. And that is why the residents of the former Mukuru slums are able to now get into the houses that were built there. That is why even next week the president is giving another batch, the second phase of the Mukuru houses. Mm-hmm. And we have not heard of a complaint from the slum dwellers that people were brought from elsewhere to occupy those houses. It is them. And we have seen on TV people moving from their shacks into the new houses. And then houses are being given on a long-term tenant purchase. We don't have, the banks are not able to give us 20 to 25 to 30 years tenant purchase, which is given here, so that you can pay it for the rest of your life. But even if you die a long time along the road, your children can still continue paying it. So that the poor people are able to own housing in the urban areas. Mm-hmm. That is inclusion. Okay. So you asked me about jobs.
No, before we finish with the pricing factor of it and the financing of it, we are seeing those who are working being deducted a certain amount of money to the housing. And then again, there is also the contribution that you are making. You make a direct, like if you book a house, you're doing some contribution there. So how is this?
So that's another issue in which the people who are opposed to the project have used to try and mislead the public. The issue is that the right to housing, it's a right codified in the Constitution. Article 43 talks about housing as a human right, and the right is bestowed on every Kenyan as a right holder. So every Kenyan who is not able to afford housing should look for the duty bearer. Who is the duty bearer to ensure that they provide housing? The duty bearer primarily is the government. Okay? Then the question is, if the government should ensure that everybody has housing, how does it ensure this? There's different instruments that the government use. Part of it is to try and enable the private sector to provide housing. And this has been attempted in Kenya since independence. You might want to know that a National Housing Corporation was actually set up in 1957. And these old estates all over the country were built by National Housing Corporation. But previously, they were built using government resources that were then given as loans to local authorities that rented them to the people. That process failed for a number of reasons. Part of the reason why it failed is that our local authorities were not able to collect sufficient rent to repay the loan. And even when they collected the money, they did not remit the monies to the National Housing Corporation. So even as we sit here now, the former local authorities, now counties, owe National Housing Corporation almost in excess of 4 billion shillings in terms of loans that were given in assets, but which were never paid. So that project process collapsed. Later, the government came up with the slum upgrading project in the 1990s and early 2000s. That was also attempted, but it failed because the funding was either to come from the exchequer or the donor funding. Donor funding, big promises that never came. The exchequer was not able to raise money from the available budgets. So with the other option was to leave Kenyans to go to the bank and get loans to provide housing. That method has only given housing to less than 5% of Kenyans. So the mortgage was only serving a small category of Kenyans, especially the middle and the upper level. So the poor, who are the majority, were left out.
Okay, just hold on that thought. We get to the top of the hour, then I'm getting back to you right now.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again.
That Uganda and Kenya are brothers and sisters, and we do not have time for negative engagement. Uganda is assured of the access to the sea through Kenya, and that is why we are not only extending the pipeline, we are also extending the road, and we are also extending the railway, because we believe that this region needs to move as one.
Participation. What do you communicate to the citizens during public participation? Do you prepare them so that people really get to understand yes, it is our responsibility. What you collected last year, we used it for A, B, C, D. Now we want to increase it by 10% or 5%. So what do you think, please? This is how we want to collect it. And you prepare the citizens. What is lacking is that there are some serious gaps, especially on other arms of governments.
Now, informal sector accounts for about 83 or 85% of the population, but when it comes to the actual tax paying, it could even be less than 5%. So what we are saying is that part of this informal sector is not as informal as it is being presented to be. The process of tax paying and accountability the efficiencies can be built around that process. Sadly, we have had cases of people saying that ITIMS is a tax. No. Now, when ITIMS
I don't think any bank should be discriminated against. The procedures were followed. The PFM talks about how accounts are opened by counties. That was followed. I don't think anyone has a greater right, or any institution has a greater right. There is no law that says bank with equity or with co-op or with cooperative. So long as you looked at the risk involved and the deal, a better deal to the county in terms of processing, salary etc., we're confident about that, and it's a decision that we've made.
To strengthen the delivery of healthcare services countywide, we have delivered major infrastructural and service improvements across the sub-county level 4 hospitals. A recent case that demonstrates the milestone and our efforts to decentralize essential health services to the peripheries occurred at Tarbaj Sub-County Hospital. The hospital successfully carried out its first ever cesarean section and was performed for a mother who had previously lost 2 babies and had been referred from Mansa location. And thanks to our medical team, she delivered safely on 23rd of November 2025.
This is our country, okay? It is our country. And we must determine what kind of a country we want. And we must determine what kind of a future we want to bequeath to our family. The people who built Makongeni 100 years ago had a vision and had a dream for that generation, and it served them.
All right.
We then, it is our responsibility right now to say, is it right to have 70% of our Nairobian population living in slums?
Education must be orderly, inclusive, and driven by policy. Not shortcuts or abrupt pronouncements.
Yes. Sisi tunaomba kwamba fursa ambayo atapatiwa yule head teacher ama yule principal akuwe ni mtu ambaye amequalify kufundisha na pia ana qualify kuongoza, na asikuwe ni mtu mmoja ambaye anaongoza ECD, primary na JSS. Akuwe mtu kando ili kukuwe na management of facilities, management of capitation kando.
Let it be
1 year
as it was promised, as it is written on the paper, okay?
Yes.
So we just hope that the interns are going to be confirmed so that they enjoy working as a Kenyan teacher.
The junior school is at the level of exploration, and it needs some resources. It needs also some support from all the stakeholders, and with autonomy, that one will be ensured.
This week, power was tested in the corridors of leadership, economies shook under pressure, and the voices of ordinary citizens demanded to be heard. From breaking decisions in high office to protests in the streets, from moments of triumph to tragedies that stopped us in our tracks, these are the headlines that shaped our week. And beyond the noise, we search for what really matters: the connections, the context, the stories behind the stories. Introducing Patricia Wayoa, and this is your weekly news roundup on Radio Generation, where every headline has a heartbeat and every moment counts.
Yes, welcome back. This is the Generation Report here on Radio Generation. If you want to tune in and maybe you're listening at your neighbor's gadget, please do so on your own gadget. That is on your radio 88.8 here in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa. And for you who also want to tune in on our online platform, please do so at Radio Gen KE. You'll be able to follow the conversation that is happening here. Remember, we unpack all the big stories that happened in the course of the week. And right now, as you've heard, we already started. We are talking about development. We are also about to talk about the by-elections that happened. We are talking on matters that are affecting Kenyans, and in one way or another, they were touched in the biggest news in the course of this week. So welcome back. I am joined by one Joshua Nyamori, is here in the house, and also Joachim Simiyu is also in the house, and we are continuing with this conversation. Before we went for the break, Joshua, you were saying something around the pricing of the affordable houses, because we need to wind up on that so that we can move to the next story.
Yeah, and I think you I was trying to explain how, the government can ensure that Kenyans then attain or access and enjoy their Article 43 right on housing. And apart from the failed previous programs that were used to finance development of the old estates, I told you about the mortgage process that done by the private sector, which then failed. But beyond that, the government then created what was called the Kenya Mortgage Refinancing Scheme, that through which the government and the World Bank set up a fund that would refinance mortgages. And refinancing mortgages is that when you are the banks give you mortgages, the World Bank is able to give them back that money immediately, and that allows the banks to give mortgages at a lower rate, which is 9%. And even that 9%, the price of houses and the period for payment was still not affordable for many Kenyans. So that has also not worked. It has just worked for a category of Kenyans. That is why the government had to come up with another mechanism. And the first mechanism that was proposed even by the Uhuru government and this government when it came in was for people to contribute to own. So that what you pay is what goes into the payment of your houses. But then that was also found not to be happening. Apart from the people going to court, the issue is it's only those who contribute who would then own the houses. And then it would also be voluntary. Initially, it was supposed to be compulsory, and then Uhuru ceded to pressure. So with the fact that it was going to be voluntary, it was not going to collect sufficient fund to undertake the projects. So then this matter was discussed and the legislation went through all the processes, including public participation. And it was agreed that be turned into a tax. So we have the tax where the employee pays 1.5 and the employer pays 1.5. And that is what then is used to finance the affordable housing, to create a fund. So the contractors or the developers develop the houses and then they are paid from the fund. Some people then, if you want to own a house, then you now pay for the house, but you are given time to pay it over a long period of time. Where banks are giving you 4 years a mortgage, this is giving you 30 years mortgage, and then it is cheaper because the cost of land is taken away, and then certain taxes are also removed. That makes the houses cheaper. That is why you find that some people are paying as low as 3,900. Some people are paying in the social houses as low as 1,000 bob. Okay? Now, be that as it may, therefore, this project, apart from just providing houses, is providing employment. And when you ask me about employment is not a crisis that began with this government. It is we have a youth bulge that has been building over the years, and previous governments have not done anything meaningful. This government in affordable housing alone is employing over almost 400,000 young people. And the president has promised that by next year it will be pushed to over 600,000, almost 700,000 young people. Then by improving agriculture, other young people are being taken into agriculture. By doing the big mega projects like what is going to happen to Rironi and the other mega projects that the government has project, we are going to absorb more young people. But even with that, with the youth bulge that we have, we cannot. We would be cheating ourselves to think that we can absorb all the young people in this employment. And because it is still a crisis, until we get to the point where, and which will take many years, that our economy can be able to absorb all the young people in the streets, we realize that Kenya is the largest non-mineral economy in the world. One of the things that Kenya is known for is our high-level human resource, and so there is deficit of labor, skilled labor, all over the world, especially in Europe and the Middle East, and Kenyans offer this. So just like we can export coffee, we are currently exporting human resource. The good thing about human resource going there, apart from the remittance that they make, apart from getting young people out of the streets to go and work in legitimate jobs, and them making remittance to their families and therefore supporting the economy, they also get exposure and get new skills out there and experiences. When they come back with new knowledge, new skills, new experiences that we will use to develop our country even better. So I would urge my friends like Simiu to join us and join the government. Is mobilizing the country to take up this opportunity. The government has also been working on ICT, in improving our connectivity, in giving young people, trainings on use of IT. There's also the Nyota program that is giving young people loans, but also going to mentor them in business. So the president is doing quite a bit, Simiu. You just need to join us in mobilizing young people all over the country to join this, take advantage of this opportunity.
don't know whether you will have to respond.
Yes, I have to say something.
Okay.
You see, I started by saying all these programs, they are very good. They actually sound very good. But we need to understand the nitty-gritties. My friend has mentioned the Maori Rone Road. And I want to go back to what I said in his absence.
Mm-hmm.
That how are we going to fund this? Because these things needs us to understand how we're going to raise money for these mega projects. What are the existing contracts? For example, as we speak, when you look at our the money we are collecting in terms of tax revenue vis-a-vis what we are using in terms of servicing the loans that we took, we remain with what cannot be sufficient to run the programs of government. And therefore, it's important that now that Joshua Nyamori is here to tell the Kenyan people and assure them that we are actually going to finance this project without raiding their pay slips further. Because if it will amount to another fund or some levy coming up again, it will be met by a lot of resistance. And I can promise that because I'll be on the forefront of resisting such an initiative. You see, the issue of mentioning jobs on the affordable housing, I mentioned something very particular. And this is what the president was very equally particular about. That even us in the informal sector, the young people, you see, if the young people are being given chances to provide these building materials and be paid for it, I would like to see that. The day President Ruto launched the affordable housing in Mukuru. The following day I went there. I wanted to see if people from Mukuru are actually occupying those houses. What I found was not what we were told. You see, I have stayed in such areas. I know how people who stay in Mukuru look like. So I went to houses that had just been launched by the president. So I expect that I will not even meet any resistance going into those houses. Then I met security on the gate. They said, where are you going? I said, no, I want to see the house that the president launched. I said, no, you are not allowed, not unless you are the owner of those houses. So no, I'm just a member of the public who wants to know how these houses look like so that I can also develop interest in getting one. I was not allowed to enter. But the people I could establish are the people who had been given those houses, are the people who can afford life in Kileleshwa. So how are we even using affordable housing to bring dignity to the people that we intend to help? I just talked about, you see, when you are living in Mukuru, like if rent is 3,900, we have electricity charges. That house is 10-story building, which means it has a lift. So electricity charges go up. You have to pay people to collect garbage. Those people don't encounter those charges in Mukuru. They pay rent worth 2,500 and it's still a problem. So how do we make sure that even as they come into this other environment, they are able to live through it? So the issues we are having, and the biggest reason why someone like me is always asking questions, is that we have a very big gap in terms of trust between government and its people. And just like some people say it out there, is that it becomes very impossible or difficult to make a good deal from people who have no history of making any good deal anywhere. You see, that's where the problem is. And look at, I told you, look at the Maori Rone Road. It came the day after the by-elections. And when you look at the speeches made in that event, it's about elections. We were not told who is the contractor and how are we going to pay them. we are being told that there is some 8 shillings that we will be told. That road will be told so that we pay for it. Why? How did we get a road like Thika Superhighway? We are not paying anything. So what's the difference?
But you are paying on the expressway, right?
Yes, we are paying on the expressway. It's a completely different arrangement from what we are getting on Maurerone Road. Yes.
Can I respond?
Okay, yeah. But kidogo tu sana, yes.
Yeah. You know, we cannot allow my friend Simiyu to mislead the public. Mukuru people are people who are used to fighting for their rights. So if there were strangers brought in to live in those houses and they continued living in shacks, Mukuru people would have been up in arms. There would have been riots. We have seen Mukuru people celebrating those houses. The issue is Simiyu was a stranger, an inciter who had gone to incite the people of Mukuru.
I had not gone to incite.
And he had no agenda there.
I just wanted to see the houses.
He was not even invited by the residents.
When I decide to go to Pipeline, do I have to be invited?
One of the most important aspects of these houses is security. Just like when you go to any other gated estate, they are gated estates. That's part of dignity that is given to these people.
Yes,
that they have been brought into gated estates. If you want to go in, you need to tell people who you are visiting, and if you are not visiting any resident, then you need to demonstrate exactly what you're going to do there.
I was very particular.
Not just going to
I told the people on the gate.
Not just going to spread propaganda.
So it's not propaganda.
The kind of propaganda that Simiyu is spreading now is unfortunate. But then let's go to the road. Okay? Let's go to the road, because I think I've given quite a bit of information, and I would challenge him to check it on the internet or even visit any office to confirm they are true. With regard to the road, again, I would ask Simiyu. You know, I know that he knows the truth, because he's not a man in the market. He's a very well informed, grounded. That is why I told you that I watch him. But he's decided to mislead the public. The government is using the biggest problem that we have had in this country in the last few years is, how do we continue development if development means taxing Kenyans more money? Okay? And Kenyans have said they don't want the taxes to go up. Okay? Thika Highway happened, and part of the cost of the Thika Highway are part of the things that have pushed up our debt burden and have pushed up our taxes, because we have to pay for what was used to build Thika Highway. So let Simiyu not cheat Kenyans. The Thika Highway was free. It was not free. We are paying for it, and we will pay for it for many years. So what did the president do? The president decided that he's not going to burden Kenyans. While it is critical that we do not only build roads to one part of the country, it is important to build roads to the other part of the country, and so December is coming. You will see the gridlock that will be here during Christmas on that road, and that's not just a local road. It's a transnational road. So when there's a gridlock, it's not only Kenyans who are affected. We are affecting the population of the entire East Africa. Okay, and that then depresses our ability to trade with those countries. So in terms of opening up that part of the country and giving opportunities, because roads is not just tarmac. Roads is giving opportunity to our good to reach market, giving the sick opportunity to reach hospital, giving opening up areas for other investments. The president came up with the concept of securitization, and this concept is that does somebody have money that he can come in and invest in the project through the PPP program, and in investing in those programs, the money is secured through those assets, so that they can collect their money from the use of those assets over a period of time. Okay, so the question is, where do we get this money? The government has 3 options. One option is to take money from the banks locally, but which is expensive. It would be very expensive. And once the government takes money from local banks, then because the government repayment is secured, banks would not be willing to give loans to Kenyans, and therefore the what is called the rates would go up,
which is the existing.
Yes. So that was not a good idea. Okay, to do that any further. The other one is to go back and take international loans. But we have taken so much international loans that we have over the years. It's not a problem created by this government. And that would have then, pushed up our debt burden internationally, and which Kenyans do not want. So then the president realized that there is some money that is lying here. By encouraging Kenyans to save through the NSSF. And you've heard the president saying that since he came, by just talking to Parliament to increase the rate of saving, workers have been able to save much more money. The money that we have saved now is more than is double the amount that has been saved over the years. And that money does not belong to the government. It belongs to workers. So if this money is not invested, then it stays there in the account and banks use it to do their businesses. So what then is that the government has reached an agreement with NSSF that NSSF will, through a PPP program, invest in this road projects. And then once NSSF invests in these road projects, NSSF will then collect their money over the years. I think it's 30 years. And will be earning interest out of it. So the toll that we are going to pay is to ensure that the workers' money that we have borrowed is then paid. It is secure money. It ensures that the workers' money is not only secure, but it's used in a productive manner so that it earns the workers' interest, but it also ensures that the government gets resources that it can use to do projects. So it is an innovative way of investment that we should thank the president for bringing to the country. And it only had to take, and it only President William Ruto could deliver this. That is why I tell Simiyu and the rest of the people who just go about making noise against what the president is doing, is that you can criticize, but Kenyans are seeing a difference. Okay, that apart from that Rironi Mau Summit Road, there's road network being carpeted all over the country, and because of this, I can assure you that we are sure that Kenyans will again give the president a mandate, because this is what we want. And you never know, we could come together as Kenyans and say that if the president is doing such a good job, why don't we lift this 2-term rule to allow the president to see to
now that's where
if it is working well.
No. Because we can't have a scenario where one person claims to be doing everything.
I'm a student of economics, and I can tell you that all the countries that have transformed, including Singapore, would need a minimum of 25 years of consistent leadership, consistent programs. But if we are to remove the president after 5 or 10 years, and then bring the kind of villagers that we see in the opposition who understand nothing but one term, singing one term and singing Kasungu, they have no program, they have no thesis, they have nothing to talk about. Then what I say?
Is it well? Let me ask. These projects, once the president comes, yes, he has come up with an idea, and I want to believe that it is not just a personal idea. There are brains around whatever he's doing.
Yes.
So what is so hard, like having another person also coming in to succeed, because it was not only it wasn't Ruto's idea? Like haikuwa ni personal yake tu.
You know, we have.
Why must brains. We have Kenyans, somebody continuing?
Kenyans have had very good brains, yes. So that when you talk to Malaysia and Singapore, they tell you that part of what transformed their countries were borrowed from Kenya.
Yes.
Brains, written by Kenyan brains. However, the problem that we have had in this country for a long time has been leadership. Okay, Kenyatta's government was made up of cartels that just raped this country, and said you can see the people who are in Kenyatta's government are the richest in this country. They own more than half of our economy. Then you go to the Moi government. Moi government was just a mess, and it's because Moi did not understand what needed to be done for this country. Then we brought in Kibaki, and some people celebrate Kibaki, but one of the things Kibaki did was to create a few billionaires, but most of the Kenyans were left poor. Then we brought in Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't even think he understood where he was taking the country from and where the country should have moved to. What he left the country was a mess in the economy, and we felt it in queuing for fuel, in having no maize, in a terrible mess. So we have a leader who has stabilized our economy. We have a leader who has started very good work in our infrastructure. We have a leader who is giving us confidence that in a few years every Kenyan will be living in a decent house. We have a leader who has stabilized our agriculture, is assuring us, but in another few years we will stop using 500 billion shillings every year to import food. That leadership should move on for a while.
The issue of stabilizing agriculture, I don't know where this concept came from, that agriculture is all about fertilizer, because I keep on thinking, is fertilizer the only thing in agriculture? And when you how has it stabilized? Because the cost of production in this sector is still high, and the kind of produce we are getting, I don't think there is any difference from what we've been experiencing in the past. We usually look at the Galana Kulalu, for example. At the time, the planting time, we are given pictures and videos of grains being grown there. But at the time of harvest, there is usually some blind spot there. And you find that in a few months' time from the harvesting period in this country, you start experiencing shortages of these grains, even from the cereal boards.
Cereal board, yes.
So where is the real problem? You know, the problem that we have is we have people who cannot be trusted coming up with ideas and ask us to trust them. That's the biggest issue that we have.
Okay, let me challenge a point that Joshua had talked about saying that the Kenyatta's government created billionaires, and Ruto's government is trying to balance, and I think that is the reason why he came up with the bottom up.
Yes.
There's a report here that is saying that. While Kenya's economy has grown at 5% per year over the last 10 years, nearly half of all new wealth generated went to richest 1%.
Yeah.
So we are still talking about now.
The issue of dismantling cartels. It is not an issue that is coming to that you dismantle cartels so that then the ordinary Kenyans can benefit. You dismantle a cartel that is not helpful to you. Then you create a cartel that you are in charge of. And that's the issue that we are experiencing today. The people are, the ordinary Kenyans, when we are being told percentages of economic growth, I don't know how does an economy grow without people feeling it in their own pockets. there is a problem with the disposable income. And Joshua, as a student of economy, will agree with me when I say that if the people of this country do not have disposable income in their pocket, that is what stifles circulation of money, because you do not even have enough to pay for your basic utilities over the month. And the programs that we are being told, you see, if we are having a project coming up, then one person is delivering almost everything. A company is formed today, tomorrow it's worth billions. And I can challenge Joshua to even tell us a group of young people that is making money out of supplying anything in the affordable house. You see, we are coming up with programs, yes. And sometimes a country can grow without the people feeling it. A road is being built in front of your house, but you can't feel it because, one, the person building it is not from that area. Maybe it's the Chinese. They don't even rent our houses. They build some shanties on the site. That's where they stay. Then the money they get out of building that road, they take it to their own countries. That is what happens. And we must make sure that even as we see concrete being built in terms of roads, the people can actually experience that. As I was telling you, when Zoya Sugar was working, no one was asking questions because Ken Weeders had money,
yes.
Ken Carters had money, the Nyaparas were earning. So it could be a person could feed their family by just selling groundnuts.
Yeah.
Okay, since we have 23 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
For this session, we have 23 minutes, and I still have another issue about elections. So I just give you 1 minute to finish with your submission. Then now we move to the next.
In here, I need to give information. In affordable housing, I'm an expert and I'm a participant. I'm a practitioner, so I have information. And then I need to let Simiu know, and you can go and check this, that in every project, it is a requirement in the tendering process, and therefore the agreements that are signed by the contractors, and it is followed up, that the developers must sign a contract with the local Juakali associations. And if you go to Kibera here, they will tell you that they have their association that has benefited, and the local MP Jalango has come out and spoken about in the Langata constituency associations that have benefited from that. If you come to Kisumu, my home, the Juakali people will tell you they are benefiting from the affordable housing projects. They're doing windows, they are doing doors, they are doing, and through that, the developers and the government is also connecting them with the financing from the financial institutions. So they are also now being connected to the financial system in the country. So it is something that is working. So I would want to discourage my brother Simiu from just dismissing and criticizing for the sake of doing that. Please check your facts. The other issue, what is the other issue that Simiu raised? You raised a second issue, Simiu, that I want to respond to. What is the last issue you raised?
Was it the road? I've talked about a lot. About
when you're saying that a road,
the cartels,
the cartels,
dismantling of cartels.
Let me tell you, for many years we have had the cartels rule this country, and no one has been strong enough, capable enough of confronting those cartels. It is this president that has confronted those cartels and compelled them. I'll give you an example of housing sector. Okay. The housing sector, you will find that government houses used to be built at 100,000 shillings per square kilometer. Per square meter. Okay. When in initiating the affordable housing program, the president put his foot down and told the engineers and the architects that for the tenders that are going to be given, you have a ceiling of 40,000 shillings per square meter. Okay, and anybody who is not interested should not take up these projects. Okay, then he went to the other people who make a lot of money in construction, public construction, are the supervising consultants, the engineers and the architects, which in their normal standards charge 7.55% of the project cost. Then he told them, I'm not going to pay you that. I think he reduced it to about 2.5. And he said, you are going to earn 2.5. You can benefit from doing many projects, so you benefit from the volumes. But because this is public fund that is supposed to benefit the poor, we will depress the rates to 2.5. It is working. Initially they complained, but finally they accepted. They're working on it. That is how to deal. You see, when you want to deal with the corruption, the first thing you deal with, and you want to deal with the cartels, you deal with discretion. Okay? You put flat rates and you tell people that you cannot go beyond this. So you can play around, but you cannot go beyond this. So that is working. But this is only possible because we have a strong leader. So we need this leader to continue working for this country, to stabilize the country. When you say that a road passing through next to your door, you may not benefit from, it is a lie. Because when the road is being built, it is labor. So for the unskilled and even skilled labor, they are going to be taken. But apart from that, the road is not in terms of the labor during construction. A road opens opportunities. A road gives freedom. Because when a road is built, then somebody like me who comes from Nyamware Beach, which is a fish landing beach, when a road is built to Nyamware, then it means my fish can move from the beach to the market. When a road is built, then an expectant lady can be able to be taken from the villages to the hospital. When a road is built, then investors can build factories because they can access their factories and take their products. Then our agriculture can move from the farms. Then we can trade for a road like the Rironi-Mau Summit. If it expanded and finally it reaches Malava, and we do the railway and we do the port, where our trade with the other countries will be expanded. And when we do that, basically more employment is created. This is how employment is created. Yeah, the president is not going to employ everybody in the public service. The public service is completely filled up. We need to reduce the numbers, in fact.
Some people I think that's fair enough. Yes, yeah. I think that's fair enough.
And ballots were audibly called out. Disputes were recorded in 10% of polling stations observed, but most were resolved at the station level. Police officers were present in all polling stations when counting commenced.
IEBC must enforce strict compliance with assisted voting procedures, including the mandatory administration and documentation of the oath of secrecy in all applicable cases, and must take decisive corrective action against any official found to have facilitated breaches of.
Well, I think you've heard that clip, and we're just going to touch on the elections, the by-elections that happened this week. And before we headed to the by-elections, of course, we had witnessed a lot of chaos and violence in some of the voting areas. I mean, the areas where the elections were to be done. We also had some of the two candidates, by the way, charged by the IEBC, and they were charged some amount there and they paid because of violence in the areas they were supposed to the areas they are vying for. So my question is, first of all, do you think that the by-elections that zimefanyika they were fair enough?
I don't know how to define fair in this context, but we have had cases where polling stations were literally kidnapped. And the people in those areas had to toe to the line of the kidnappers of the polling areas. We've had cases where you can see high-handedness from the government side. It's like it's a do or die thing. We've seen cases where money is actually splashed. An area like Mbeere North, I was in Mbeere North for some time, And even people selling muguka in Mbeere North were unwilling to go to the market because they know that when a CS shows up, he has money. When a deputy president comes, he has brought money. When a candidate comes, they have brought money. So it was about government taking charge and making sure that this is what we want and we must take it for whatever reasons. And when you look at the money spent in these areas vis-a-vis what the candidate will get in terms of salary, the math does not math. I was also in Narok on the voting day. And there is this polling station called St. Peter. We were there at around 8 p.m. at night. We had to flee for our safety. When I asked around, I was told that the goons mobilized by the area governor of Narok, who wanted his favorite candidate to win, was devising measures to make sure that his candidate wins. So, and again, my biggest lesson from this by-election, it was about two things. The people who are on the ballot, who are squaring it out, or one term versus two term. Mm-hmm. I hardly saw anyone come out to say what is their agenda, both government and the one-term movement. It was about, I must take this. So it is one term versus two term, and you can see the chest thumping after the elections. That's why you see in this politics, some things you need a third eye. You see even the launching of Mauri Rone Road happened a day after by-elections. Okay. And I am thinking if the results of Mbeere North will have been different, I doubt if the president would have launched that road. He will have postponed it. That's what I saw from it. So going forward, and I also want to tell the Kenyan people that they need to be the Kenyan people now, very particular with what they want when it comes to voting. Because if you do not want this particular Murengo, why should their candidate get 20,000 votes if you don't like what that Murengo is doing? Aren't you giving them flying power? So as you go to vote, what are you voting for? Why did you vote for Modende? Why did you vote for Garissa? What were you looking at? If they do not establish those answers, I tell them they will come here to cry again after elections of 2027.
Simiu, you keep speaking about the road. Simiu, where is your village?
I come from Bungoma.
Bungoma.
Yes.
Yeah, this road is going to help you. And this road is going to help your village mates. So I'm not sure that you wanted them to wait till 2032 when President William Ruto will finish his term for the road to be constructed.
No. I'm not saying that I don't want roads.
Yes, the roads was critical.
The launching.
And it should have even happened earlier if the program was ready to start on, yesterday was 28th. Yes. Then there's nothing wrong with that. The by-election did not stop the government from running. And in any
bragging rights.
In any case, if you want to say that that the government planned the launch to be after the by-election, then it just means that those that were from the government were sure that we were going to win the election, and that was not in doubt. What surprises me is not that the government side won, the broad-based side won. What surprises me is that certain people were not aware and seemed to be surprised that this win was coming. Okay? This win was going to come for a number of reasons. One, that this by-election divided the country into two formations. One formation is what Simiu calls the one-term, and the other one he calls the two-term. But there's a philosophical difference in these two formations. That is, in the one-term group, they can only talk about one-term, Kasongo must go, and that is all. In the two-term side, what we are saying is that we have a president who has stabilized the shilling. We have a president who has, improved agriculture. And he talked about how agriculture is improved. And apart from the issue of the prices of the fertilizer, we have the market that has been improved. And so if you look at the sugar sector, also part of agriculture. I'm getting to that. Yeah. If you look at coffee, if you look at tea, you'll find that the farmers are now earning almost double or even more than double of what they used to earn. Go to the sugar sector. I mean, I come from Kisumu. One of our mainstays was the sugar plantation. And when the president was coming into office, the factories were burdened by debts that they owed farmers. The president ensured that this debt was paid, the debt that has been there for many years. So the farmers got back their money. And then the next issue is that the government has failed over the years to run our factories. That's why all the factories collapsed. So what did the government do? The president got into the agreement with the leasing program, so as to bring those with capacity to get in and lease those factories so that they can improve the technology of the factories. And the legal framework has been done, the agreements have been done, and the factories have been handed over to the people leasing them. So what is happening now is the factories are worked on. I am very sure that in another few months we will have the factories firing with better technology, and with better technology they will be able to produce and pay the farmers more. Part of the agreement that has been signed is to secure payment for farmers so that for whatever they'll be delivering, they will be the first to be paid, and then the staff of those factories that were not being paid regularly previously, then it is what remains that the government will split with the investors, the people leasing the factories. So that is an improvement, and so what I'm trying to say is that Kenyans definitely looked at the messaging that was going out in Malava and which is a sugar growing area, and in Mbere and in Megarini and in Kasipul and in Ugunja, and the Kenyans agreed, and that is across the country, that the people who make sense are the people who are gravitating around President William Ruto with his compelling vision of not only the better program that he promised in 2022, but his new compelling vision of making Kenya a Singapore. And that is why Kenyans voted, and Kenyans voted against division. That is why you realize that Rigiji was beaten in his own village of Mount Kenya, that he thought and bragged that he had secured against the president. That is why Matiang'i, who was also projected to have been, some people thought that he would be the greatest challenger to the president, was reduced to a small village in Nyamira to only deliver 3 small wards in Nyamira. That is why Kalonzo, who has been in politics since 1985, and with the party that was set up in 2005 or 2006, was only able to deliver a ward in Machakos. Basically, the message that went out there, and this was like a mini general election, was that the Kenyans have confidence in President William Ruto's leadership. Kenyans have confidence in the broad-based government. Kenyans will give President William Ruto a second term, and Kenyans have confidence in the development programs that the president is laying out.
Because of the few minutes that we are remaining with, I just had you to give your final submissions.
My final submission.
Yes.
Even as my friend Joshua speaks, it comes out very clearly that there is a gray area between the one term and two term. That's why as a Fena party we have stood aside to watch this melee unfold. Because the question I ask, these two formations about one thing. One is about retaining power at whatever cost. The other one is about taking over power at whatever cost. But no one is actually telling us what is our problem as the people. Why is it that in the midst where we are being told there is no money to pay for examination in school, 300 billion is getting lost, the one from government bonds? Mm-hmm. No one is coming out to explain the money we are being told to go and pay the debts. What did we do with the money? With how do we move forward from this kind of life as a country? I think the two formations suffer from the same disease. And that's why I keep on saying that what is the agenda? What is issue-based? But I realize that majority of the politicians that we have cannot survive in an area where we are discussing issues and not tribes. And for us, the people who yearn to provide a different way of leadership for the country, if we are going to engage ourselves in tribal rhetoric, we have masters of tribal rhetoric. We cannot win that game. It is their leverage area. And therefore, we need to stick to the area of issues. And here, we are very clear that the battle in 2027 will be about who looks like they can deliver a country that enables the Kenyan people to enjoy both worlds.
Okay.
Because what we are saying looks juicy on the top, but down in the soup there is some rocks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Simiyu. Thank you for your submission. Let's hear your final submission because you have 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah, my final submissions is that we are confident that Kenya is on the right path. We have a president who, has laid an economic program and as summarized in his State of the Nation address, that will focus on our education, will focus on our transportation, through road network, the railway, the ports, and that will focus on our agriculture and will focus on our energy. I want to invite all Kenyans to engage rigorously in understanding this new vision that the president laid out that will transform this country in the next 30 years, and that we should you should settle down to now work on this program. Tuachane na hizi kelele that the opposition are putting us on around the country, because it has been proven that Kenyans are not interested in that kind of noise, and I want to inform them and assure them that if they think that there will be any change of the leadership in this country in the near future, they are misguided. We have a program to deliver, we have a vision to achieve, we will work at it, and we are working on a minimum of 30 years program. So they should be ready that the President William Ruto's vision will actually guide this country for the next 30 years. On how we are going to do that beyond 2032, I am sure we will engage in as a country, but all cards are on the table. Those cards include even removing if they are too scared about 2027, they should even be more scared that as a nation we may even decide to remove the two-term rule in the Constitution to give the president another 10 years to lead the program.
Thank you, George, for your submission. Joshua, for your submission and for coming. Thank you, Joachim, for coming and for your submissions.